5 олимпиад, 4 сборных: США, Германия, Россия, Беларусь. Такие легендарные спортсмены, как Роджер Федерер, Райан Лохти и многие другие легенды. Все эти события, всех этих людей объединяет один человек, вернее врач. Этого врача зовут Хомаюн Гарави, это немецкий специалист. Мне удалось записать с ним подкаст, в котором мы обсудили здоровье желудочно-кишечного тракта. И в этом подкасте он дал 7 советов для нормальной микробиоты кишечника, для активного долголетия, для качественной жизни. Со всеми принципами я согласен, кроме одного. Какой это принцип? Смотрите, пожалуйста, подкаст. Получилось очень интересно. Местами там был авторский перевод, но в оригинале, если кто хорошо понимает английский, вы можете также сами слушать и делать свои выводы. Приятного просмотра.
What does it mean, microbiome? What is this for my audience, for my subscribers? What is this?
Yes, well, microbiome.
Excuse me, and why it's so important for sportsmen, for anti-aging, maybe for good life, for high quality life, maybe.
Yes, yes. So are we on air now? Has it started?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I was just wondering if you need the explanation for yourself before we start. So first of all, Dobro Utra from Germany. Microbioma in the original sense just means the inhabitant of certain defined areas. So the microbioma of Minsk is everything that is living in Minsk that is called, you can call that microbioma. Because it's the full entity, that's Minsk, and then everything that makes life in Minsk, that's the microbioma. So it's all the people, and it's also even all the animals and all the microscopic creatures. Everything counts under microbioma. And then, of course, you can have more distinct and more defined sections of this microbioma. For example, you can say the bacteria of Minsk, all the bacteria in Minsk are called bacterioma. The viruses are called viroma, and so forth. So you can narrow it down to each species and give that also a name. But microbioma is, by definition, just everything that is alive in a certain area that you define. And in regards to gut health, of course, the microbioma of the intestine is everything that lives in the intestine. And by now, we know we have defined about 1,200 different species of bacteria that inhabit the intestine, starting from the mouth all the way to the rear end. And they make up an estimated 100 billion bacteria. And then you have another factor 10 more viruses. And of course, also lots of fungus, yeast. So and everything is important, you know. And one thing that is quite interesting for me, that the understanding that viruses were there first. Viruses is no bacteria, it's not really living, are just pieces of DNA or RNA. And the reason why viruses are there is just to spread the DNA and make up for the very high variety of different DNAs in living creatures. You look different than I do because you have different DNA, and that's the responsibility is by the viruses. So the first viruses, there are more. They have 1 trillion, I think you call them. So 1 0 more than 1 billion, or 1 0 more than 100 billion. So it's 1,000 billion. And then you have a little bit less, you have bacteria, and then a little bit less you have fungus, and then you have the human being, the cells, the organs, and the human being.
Can we test, how can we see our microbiome? In laboratory, maybe in blood or urine?
Yes, well, if you Google and you look into the internet, there are many, many laboratories that make these advertisements for microbioma testing. But, there is microbioma testing and there is microbioma testing. The quality is like in every other field, it's always different. Good and serious labs, professional laboratories, they make good microbioma testing, and they also give you a very good understanding of how much variety of bacteria you have in your intestine. They analyze many, many species, and then also they give you a very good clue of whether your intestinal wall is tight and dense, just like a garden hose, where you water your flowers, or is it already leaking? We call that a leaky gut. And leaky gut means that the wall of your intestine is not tight anymore. It allows undigested molecules to pass the wall and penetrate the wall and go into the blood, so that your immune system just takes this as an attack of some aliens into the body, and then creates antibodies against these antigenes, and so against these molecules. And that is the beginning of an autoimmune disease, an autoimmune disorder, because, we're talking about very, very small pieces of molecules, right? We're not talking about a piece of salad going through your bloodstream. It's just molecules. And those molecules are so short that they might have some similarity to structures in your body. For example, the thyroid gland, the Hashimoto thyroiditis is mostly built on leaky gut. So the leaky gut and the Hashimoto are very closely linked to one another. Also asthma, also rheumatoid arthritis, also. So anything that, also vitiligo. Some people have these patches on the skin where there's no pigmentation, white patches. And these are all linked to some sort of a dysbiosis. So the microbioma is not in balance, and also to a leaky gut. And here in my center, we were able to reduce the Rheuma factor within 18 months into the normal range. We were able to create a repigmentation of the skin. We can alleviate and reduce the hormones that are substituted for the thyroid gland. For many women that have been taking the thyroid hormones for many years, but those that have just freshly been diagnosed with it, we can actually heal with the nutritional intervention. And doesn't mean that they eat less, but they eat different.
Very interesting. 18 months to reduce inflammation, yes?
Yes, 18, 1.5 years.
How can we reduce this inflammation? It depends on water, foods, sports activity. How can we reduce this inflammation?
Well, in my opinion and my observation is that food is the first thing. We have our bodies. That's one system. It's us, right? And then there is an entry into the system. So where does life start in your body? Is it the vitamins? Of course, the vitamins, yes. But if you don't get food, your body will have no energy to use and to utilize the vitamins. So the very first thing that we do is we eat. That's the thing. And whatever we put into this tunnel, which starts here, excuse me, whatever we put in there will start to have an effect on your body. And if you take into account that 70% of your immune system is located in your gut,
Yes.
it's just like the bouncer in a club. You want to go to the club and you have these big bouncers and they say, oh, Dalatna, why are you here? So you can come in, you cannot come in. And that's the immune system as well. And the immune system sits in the intestine, 70% of it, and it makes sure that only the good things and the fully digested molecules pass and come into the club. But if there are not digested, not fully digested molecules in the body, this creates an inflammation. And we can see that by an elevated substance, which is called zonulin, Z-O-N-U-L-I-N. And this zonulin is a marker. We call it a silent inflammatory marker. So there is a silent inflammation, which creates this inflammatory response in the body. And just because some molecules very much look like look very similar to, for example, the surface of the thyroid gland, these molecules attack. So your immune system attacks these molecules that were in the food, but also because it's similar to the surface of the thyroid gland, it also attacks the thyroid gland. Some other molecules more look like the surface of your intestine from the blood side. So it attacks the intestine. So you have an irritable bowel, or you have these celiac disease. Some other molecules of some other food, they may look like the surface of your lung, and then you get asthma. And that's what we have, what science has been observing in all these autoimmune disorders, that there is always a link to the leaky gut.
Yeah, very interesting. What's the basic tips about food? What food we should intake or shouldn't intake? What's about alcohol drinks? What's about?
Yes. Well, this is a very sensitive question because we all know people that eat everything. They eat everything, they smoke, they drink alcohol, and they turn 96 years old. We all know these people. But we also know people that do everything they can to stay healthy. They exercise, they eat not much meat, no alcohol, and they die at the age of 28 of some disease. So this is, first of all, it's an observation, and we have to respect that. So whatever we say, it remains only an assumption. However, we know by now in the field of epigenetics, it's a very new field that's coming in. Epigenetics does not change your genetic substance, but it changes the way that your genetics are being read, and transformed into proteins and into life. And we know that we have been that we are very well capable of making people healthier. They lose weight, of course, they will live longer. They will, others, they have asthma, then they don't have asthma. They don't take more pills. And of course, it's more healthy and more functional. Health means always function. If it doesn't function, it's not healthy. And that's my definition for health. And the basic tips for a healthy lifestyle in the kitchen is also just based on the fact that food today is not the same as food 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So the quality of air. I'm sorry?
The quality of food, first of all, yes?
Yes. And it's because also, of course, the quality of water, the quality of air, it is not the same as 60 years ago. And also the industry not only is polluting everything in our surrounding, but also is coming up with new inventions that have not been really tested on taste enhancers, on all the substances that are in the food. Many of the processed foods here in Germany also, they have to declare exactly what is inside. But, and this is the dangerous part, they say, well, if this is inside, you only have to declare it that it's in this food if it's beyond a certain level. If it's below that level, you don't need to declare it. So we have all these drinks, the soda drinks, I don't want to call a name, that are worldwide spread. You know, they're dark and it's sparkling. And they have more than 300, they say 300 substances that don't have to be declared. But as a whole, they contribute to the good taste. And it really tastes very, very good. That's why people drink it. But it's not very healthy, and it's because it's not natural. And yeah, that's the one part. And if you want to have observe nature and you want to follow the rules of nature, my tip is...
Прежде чем мы перейдем все-таки к этим 7 базовым принципам здоровья микробиоты, я хочу напомнить, что у меня в Зеленограде есть собственная клиника, которая является островком максимальной пациентократии, максимально клиентоориентированно. У нас есть отличные врачи, которые работают в рамках доказательной медицины, но при этом не ограничиваются этими доказательными рамками, а стараются всецело помочь нашим любимым пациентам. Ссылку для записи к врачам, которым доступны онлайн и офлайн записи, я оставлю в описании. Давайте продолжать наш подкаст.
Let's say six different suggestions. One is avoid sugar. And just do it for, let's say, 2 months. Okay, yeah, I don't want anyone to do it for lifelong, but just make a challenge: 8 weeks, no sugar at all. Okay.
Okay. What's about fructose?
Yeah, we get to that. So tip number 1 is no sugar, and also nothing sweet. Don't go and say, oh, I take the date syrup, or I take some agave syrup, or I take xylit, or I take saccharin, you know, these diabetes sugar. No, just no sweets, no sugar inside your mouth. That's it for 8 weeks. Number 2 is no gluten. Avoid gluten. If you have a bad skin, or if you have children, especially in their teens, and they have acne, crazy acne, avoid gluten. Anything that has gluten, just say no, put it aside, don't eat it. And it will help you. Gluten is the #1 killer of the mannose antennas. Those are molecules in your intestine that are able to detect if some food is fully digested or not. If it's fully digested, oh yes, you can come in. If it's not fully digested, let's say this here, oh no, you still have to move on, and you will be digested a few miles down the stream. And and gluten just cuts off these fingers inside your intestine, so it cannot detect what molecule is fully digested or not. But the good news is, if you don't eat gluten for a few weeks, it will come back and it will recover, and it will be, you will get back to your health. And also allergies, for example, will become much less. Acne will go, the skin will be much cleaner. If you look on your tongue, then you see a layer on it. Too much layer is not good, and no layer, a fully clean tongue like a strawberry, is also not good. So a nice thin layer all over the tongue is very good, but some people have only patches, some areas with layer, some areas no layer. That's also not very good. That's rule number 2, no gluten. Rule number 3, fruits, that's fructose. Fructose, we know, is just like vodka. Not as hard as vodka, but fructose has a double hit theory. We follows a double hit theory in the liver. Number one, it inhibits the breakdown of fat. It inhibits you're a doctor yourself, the beta oxidation, which breaks down the fat, is inhibited by fructose. That's number one. And number two is it creates radicals in the liver, so the liver gets tired and also fatty. So two reasons why the liver gets more fatty because of fructose, similar to alcohol. Alcohol has a similar effect. Of course, one shot of vodka is much more destructive than one apple, yeah, right? So what we say is there are fruits with little and lower fructose, and those are those wild berries from the forest, blueberries, cranberries. All those berries are good except of strawberry. And if you just don't eat banana, I mean the real banana, the original banana, those are small black things. But the banana that we buy in the supermarket are huge. Some mutated bananas, some mutation fruits. Those are not real bananas, and they also destroy a lot in your intestine. So my recommendation for 2 months, no apple, no pear, no banana, and no grapes. Very important, don't eat grapes. But there are other fructose, low on fructose fruits that you can find in the internet. And mostly those are berries, blueberries, blackberries, those are the main fruits. But also pineapple, ananas is also good. Papaya is good. However, those come from very far away and they have to fly them in. Stay regional. That's always also a good contribution. So get the fruits that are in your region, and that's good. And if you don't find fruits, hey, take vegetables. It's much better anyways. Vegetables are a very good food for your microbiome. And my sentence always is, feed your microbiome and the microbiome will feed you. And that's something that we, if you follow that, you run a very healthy life. Okay, rule number 4 is no meat. That is really crazy for many people. And you can start this maybe in the 2nd month. 8 weeks is 2 months. 1st month, you just do rule number 1, 2, 3. But rule number 4, you start in the 2nd month. No meat. So you go, my recommendation is try to go vegan for 1 month. But be prepared, always have your nuts with you, always have some berries with you, always just be prepared and see what happens with your body. Just inform yourself by testing it on yourself and on your own body. And the sort of meat with the biggest, what do you call it, when it gets foul, when it smells really bad, is pork from pig. The meat from pig is really very, very, it has a big potential of just creating bad gases and really not being very, very healthy. And you can, for example, just try this by taking some pork meat and putting it into your bathroom and turn on the heat, really hot, 37 degrees, hot room, and then also take a shower so that it's nice and steamy, very high humidity in that room, and then leave it there for 3 days. And that's when you see what happens. Whatever happens with that meat is happening inside your body, of course, with some digestive fluids as well, but it is really a very high load on your body. But let's make it general. No pork, no meat of cow, no meat of fish or anything poultry, no chicken, just no meat at all, nothing that was alive before.
What's about beef? What's about ferrum deficiency?
That's what I say. Nothing. Just don't eat it. You know, if you, Sash, there's one observation, and it's really just an observation. I'm not a militant vegan. I turned vegan in February just to test it on myself, and I want to go 1 year and see what happens with the body. And I still do bench press. I do a lot of sports, and I feel fit. And you know, I swim every once in a while. I don't swim anymore, but I used to swim. And every once in a while, when I'm at a training camp with one of the nations, I hop into the pool and I swim 50-meter sprint, and I see what happens. And so far, I can still keep around 30 seconds with no practice, no training. And that's been the past 20 years, you know. And now I'm 56. So at the end of 30s, I swam a 32, I think. And this time I went with the team of Kazakhstan, and we were on Tenerife. So I asked them, hey, can you take my time? And I hopped in, of course, with 56. I'm afraid of my heart. And yeah, I want to breathe. Usually when you sprint in the young years, you don't breathe at all. You just hop in, no breathing, you go 50 meters. And then I took one breath every 4 strokes. Every time you breathe, you get slower. But I swam at 30.5. And that's the time that I usually swam 15 years ago. And that was the only thing I had changed was 3 months of being vegan. So that was one observation. But, and here's the interesting fact, Alexander. If you look at nature, nature works best when there is interdependency of the systems. If you look at the trees outside over there, here, you know, that is a system, that's a plant. I'm the other system, I'm a eukaryote, we call it. I'm a human being. So I burn oxygen, right? I burn oxygen, and my end product from my cells back is CO2. The CO2 is good for the plant. The plant says, give me the fresh air. I love it. So it takes the CO2, metabolizes, and then the end product, so the shit that it puts out, is oxygen. And I say, oh, give me the oxygen. I really need the oxygen. It's fresh air. Also, an apple tree. Take an apple tree. Apple, right? What is the end product of the apple tree? It's the apple, right? So it's something that the tree throws off and doesn't need it anymore for living. It's gone. I'm sorry for the word, but the apple is the shit of the tree, okay? Our apple looks different. You know, we put it into the toilet. That's our apple, and that's good for the apple tree. But the shit of the apple tree is good for us. We eat it, but our shit is good for the tree. So we call it the interdependency, right? Meat, beef, is no end product. There is no cow that goes, oh, good. There is a steak. I don't need it anymore. Meat is not an end product. The fish is not an end product. An egg is not an end product. It's an end product of the chicken to create new life where something grows inside. Or also the milk of the cow is only good to make a baby cow turn into a big cow, and only for a few weeks. Also with us humans, we drink our mother's milk maybe for 1 year. Some mothers more, 2 years maybe. I've seen one who had 4 years of mother milk. That's strange, but hey, it's possible. But after that, you do not go to your mother and ask for milk. But you go into the supermarket and you get milk of a cow or of a horse. Horse milk, they drink that in Kazakhstan. But also in Iran, I heard. Right. So it's, and there's so many things in there to make growth possible. But if you're already grown, the growth factors in the milk are not healthy. And that's what I think, how diseases also, you create a condition for diseases. It's not that the milk will make you sick, no, but it creates the good condition for a disease to start. And and that's why I think if you do it, it is really not easy in the beginning, because we are brought up with the understanding that you go into the supermarket and you buy stuff. You go to the restaurant and you just order it. But if you really put up these rules, no gluten, no sugar, and vegan, it's crazy difficult, especially when you go into a hotel and it's a nice hotel. But even there, it's much easier than at home, I think, because I can talk to the chef, or I can just choose what I need from the buffet. And that works pretty good, actually. But if you go into it and you really challenge yourself for a few weeks, you find yourself very, very capable of going vegan, and you even get stronger. You know, I started with a bench press of 78 kilograms, and I finished at 93 kilograms bench press. And I still want to go for the 100, but then I travel again for a few weeks, and then I'm not in the training anymore. But it is, what I'm saying is, it's very, very well possible to have a good performance in all parts of life and be vegan. And I must say, even you know, when I do sports, I play tennis and I have a hard training, my arm hurts. I have that every once in a while. Usually it takes 1 week or 2 weeks, it's still hurting. Now it turns, the next day it's gone. There's no inflammation anymore. It's like when I was 17, you know, it's really a crazy observation. Okay, so that's the other one. And then if it's possible, don't eat soy. You know, it's also, because soy, we call that a xenoestrogen.
Yes.
It has a similarity to estrogenic hormones, and also, which is not that much of a problem for 8 weeks. Okay, but soy is one of the it's said that it's one of the nutrients that have the biggest chance of being a glyphosate intoxicated. So the glyphosate, the amount of glyphosate on the soy is very high. And then I have to remember, what's the last one? Oh, no corn. Corn.
I think it will be dairy products, no?
I'm sorry?
Dairy products, milk.
Oh, yeah, dairy products. Yeah, that's what I cut out with the then we have 7 tips. But I cut out, if you go vegan, it's dairy products. But you're absolutely right, Sash, absolutely right. Dairy products are also something that create many of these food intolerance, you know, bad skin, bad breath, infections, and allergies and all that stuff. Absolutely, yes. And that's just because it's dairy product is not dairy product. The dairy product are of animals that are thousands of those in one area, and they take the milk and they put, of course, if you have many animals in one place, you have diseases, and they get antibiotics and they get medication, and it's inside there. And also cows, they're being fed with corn. Corn has lots of fructose, and fructose is in their beef, and we eat it. A goat and sheep, you cannot feed the goat with corn. It will die. He will die. And the goat cannot be parked like a truck, like a car. Like the cows, you can park them, but the goat is not. Goats are little ADHS animals. they have to jump and run and stuff. They cannot just sit still like a cow. So they move a lot, and if you do it, they're more healthy. We say if you want to eat meat, eat like deer, nothing that is industrialized, animals that are outside in the wilderness and you shoot them. Sad enough, but that is the most the healthiest type of meat that you can eat. If it's the hogs, the wild hog outside, like pigs, but the razorbacks, the wild pigs. If it's deer, all those wild animals. But altogether, my understanding turns more and more into the sense, why do it? Just because I have a gun or a knife, can I barehandedly go kill something and eat it? Well, then do it. But don't come up with technology and shoot an animal and say, okay, now I will eat you. It doesn't make sense. If you can do it with your teeth and with your hands, if you can't, it's not the food for you. I don't need any tool to pick an apple and eat it. That's good. I can eat that. I can anything that I can do barehandedly with no armor, with no equipment, that's something that I need to do. And that's, interestingly, everything that we said, Sash, is also very, very beneficial for the bacteria, for the microbioma. The microbioma is not getting influenced positively by any animal product. So meat, for example, or dairy products, they create this bile acid, bile acid from the liver and from the gallbladder. That's the acid that comes in. And then, so it's called the bile, right? Bile acid, and for digestion. But if we eat dairy products and animal fat, the dairy products, the bile acid goes high. And there is one bacterium, that's the Clostridium difficile. That's one of those species. They love bile acids. They come in with their glass, long drink, sunglasses, and they take lots of bile acid. They drink it, they metabolize it, and what they put out, we call it the secondary bile. And secondary bile, if that goes up, you will have a very high risk. So you create conditions, once again, for irritable bowel and colorectal cancer. So all this intestinal cancer is very much prepared and paved by the secondary bile. If you go vegan, 1 week later, you have only 1/13 of bile in your gut. And if you go 1 month, it's only 1/100th of the regular secondary bile in the intestine. And so the risk goes really towards zero in regards to colorectal cancer if you go vegan.
Great 7 tips. We have 1 minute to. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your information. You look great in 57. Yes.
Thank you. 56.
56. You look great. Your skin, your teeth, your cognitive function, and it's really useful information for my public. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Spasiba большое, and very good job. Keep it up. I think you're making a very good impression, but also good contribution to the society and to people that are interested in health topics. So thank you for also on behalf of all your audience.